Hi, Year 6. So this is your final English lesson of the week, and we thought we'd do something different this week because you finished your work on balanced discussions, you finished your reading lessons on the Catherine Rundell books, Rooftoppers and Wolfwalder, and now we are looking at doing a comprehension, but as opposed to doing a paper-based comprehension, I thought we could have a go at using Read Theory, because you seem to do quite well on maths.co.uk. So I've signed you up to Read Theory. I've created your logons and passwords, and you can find those all on Teams. Obviously, you only log into your account, not into anyone else's. All of the logons start with your initial underscore surname and then 20A. And then the password is always Brinley1. Okay. What I'm going to do today is show you how to log on to it. There's a set of instructions that takes you through everything and explains how Read Theory works, and explains the point system in terms of like there's levels you can move through and gets the highest point system for those of you who are quite competitive. So in terms of accessing it, you need to go to readtheory.org or type in Read Theory on Google and the website will come up, and press login. And then you put in your username and password and press login, and then you'll come to the first screen that assesses your reading ability. And I've got one here on a test account. It looks like this. It's 8 questions, take about 20 minutes. And what this does, it just figures out your starting point. So if you get lots of questions right here, you'll sort of start on higher level quizzes. And if you find bits of it difficult, it'll put you on a slightly easier to read quiz. Okay, it doesn't really matter where your starting point is, but it's just a good way of figuring out where your reading's at to start off with. So you click I'm ready, and then a reading extract will come up on the sides, and on the side, and then here it's got a question that you need to answer, and there are always multiple choice questions. So it says the Great Wall. Many people think the Great Wall of China is one wall, but it is not. It's actually made up of different parts. Each of these parts was built during a different period in time. Emperor Jin Shui Huang built the first part of the Great Wall in 220 BCE. He did this because he wanted to keep enemies out of China. Over time, more and more parts were added to the wall by other Chinese rulers. These parts form the whole we know today. Okay, so the author wrote this passage too. Was it to give an opinion? Was it to answer a question? Was it to agree with an argument? Was it to correct a misunderstanding? Was it to provide an additional point of view? So I have to think through what I think the answer is to that, by looking back at the text. I'd always read the text first and then think through what I think the answer is, and then you make your put your answer in. And I think it's to correct a misunderstanding, because at the start it says many people think the Great Wall of China is one wall, but it is not, and then it explains why it is not. Okay, so I think that's the answer to the first one. I submit that, and he says, okay, let's continue to the next question. And it'll ask you a different, do a different comprehension, and you answer a different question. Now, what I would suggest is for this, take your time on each one and do it each one individually. Don't just guess, because that won't help you. Okay, and it needs to know how good your reading is. There's also an option to highlight text, so you can actually click on things and highlight text to help you. So it says based on its use in this passage, it can be understood the word voyage belongs to which group of words, and it actually shows you where voyage is in the text. Obviously, you'd read that through and choose which one you think the answer is. Now, I'm just going to click through these to get past this part. Obviously, you would do it slowly to get through, so you can assess your ability, but just so I can get past this part, just click some different answers. So I'll be getting lots of these wrong because I'm just guessing. It won't help me. So I'll get a low score. Don't do this yourself, okay? This won't help. You need to do it properly. This is the last question. I'll do this one properly. To climb a ladder safely, you should lean securely against the wall. It is safest to have someone else hold the ladder as you climb up. If you have to climb the ladder by yourself, you should test it carefully before you begin. This will ensure it is stable. Which of the words is opposite in the meaning to the word stable as used in this passage? So stable is one. This will ensure it's stable, and the opposite word, the antonym, tilted, no, shaky. I think it'll be shaky. Check the others. Weak, damaged, fragile. I think it's shaky. Okay, so I submit that, and then I go through. And then when you're finished, you've completed your pre-test. So if you look on my instructions, it tells you what to do there. You follow those through. Have a go, and then I've completed the pre-test. And that will be my starting point done. So that's the first thing you need to do. That'll take about 20 minutes. And then you enter the program. You can enter your age, which will be 10 or 11. I'll put 10. And then it's put me on a starting point depending on how well I did on that pre-test. Okay. This is where you start to earn knowledge points. This is where you do your first quiz. And my first quiz is 5 questions long, and it's all about Carla the cat. So I'd read through all about Carla the cat, and then I begin to answer the questions. Now, if I answer a question wrong, I'll just try one. And it was wrong. I knew it'd be wrong, so I was guessing. The chance of getting it right would be very slim. It actually tells you why it's wrong. So you need to read this explanation. It says in paragraph 1, we learn that Carla is like most of the cats. And like most of the cats, Carla likes to play with string, lay out in the sun, and lick her paws. Here the author tells Carla how Carla is like other cats, therefore D is correct. The author says what Carla likes to do best in the second paragraph, not in the first, therefore A is incorrect. The author explains why Carla hunts animals in the fourth paragraph, not in the first, therefore B is incorrect. The author describes the animals Carla hunts in the third paragraph, not in the first, therefore C is incorrect. It really, really clearly, if you get a question wrong, it's really important you look at that, because it explains really clearly what you should have done. And in terms of learning, the best way you will learn, yes, it's good to get answers right, and that's what we want to aim for, is getting the answer right. But if we get one wrong, the best way to learn is to look at to learn from that mistake and look at the explanation, and it does that really well. Okay, and then after that you go to the next question, and then have a go at that one. Which of these is an animal Carla does not hunt? Obviously I need to read through the extract and find the correct answer. It'd be the one she does not hunt. Hopefully that all makes sense to you. That bit there, if you look at the document that's on Teams, it explains all that through. So after that you can start completing your comprehension exercises. Answer the questions one at a time. Make sure you read the extract first before carefully choosing your answer. If you get an answer wrong, make sure you read the explanation of why you get it wrong, learn from your mistakes, and do not rush through. And that's what I mean there. If you get an answer right, read theory, you earn knowledge points. And that's how read theory works. So, for example, this was one I did earlier, and it said, how does Katie get to New York City? I put she flies, and it says that's correct. You've earned a knowledge point. Knowledge points are the system it uses to collect information that you can score on. You get 1 point for each correct answer, but there's only 4 or 5 questions in each comprehension quiz. So the best way to get lots of knowledge points is if you do a comprehension quiz and you get 100%, you get 30 bonus knowledge points. So it's always worth taking your time and working really carefully, because if you can get 5 out of 5, you score 35 points. If you get 4 out of 5, you only score 4 points. So the bonus knowledge points is really, really important in terms of gathering lots and lots and lots of points. And that's why it's really important to take your time and do not rush. If you just click through answers and get 1 or 2 each time, you're not going to get many knowledge points. Also, they'll end up moving you down some of the quizzes, because if you don't get high scores, they'll start to move you down some of the quizzes. If you get 100%, it'll start to move you up some quizzes, which will be really good. Okay, so the key is to try and answer it as accurately as you can. If you get one wrong, that's fine. Learn from your mistake and go through it. Explain on the PDF here. It says the computer says how well you do, moves you up and down depending on how accurate you are. At the top, you'll see your number of points. You can see my user account, I've got 0. And this is an example account I had here. I got 2 knowledge points. Once you've completed a quiz, let me just very quickly complete this one. Next question. Oh, that was right. That was a challenge at 3 knowledge points. Flipped one. That one was wrong. And then just click to the end. So it will show me at the end. So obviously that one I just guessed through. I only got 1 right, which was very good. Never guessed through. So I only got 20%, and I only had 3 knowledge points. And it all moved me down a quiz there. And obviously, I would never encourage guessing through. You've got to work through them one by one. What I need to get is 5 points, and 5 out of 5, and I've got lots of knowledge points. In terms of doing a new quiz, you click here. That's what I wanted to show you. Okay, you start on a new quiz. Now, you start off, there are lots of levels you can move through on Read Theory. The more 100% scores you get, the more knowledge points you get. I wonder if anyone gets to Theorist in Year 6. So there's lots of levels. So you start on Luminary. I need to get 45 knowledge points to get to Orienteer, 100 knowledge points to get Tactician, and so on like so. And my challenge to you in Year 6 is, it'll be interesting to see after today who's on the highest amount of knowledge points and how many 100% they get. There's lots of things it shows you. If you click on My Progress, you can see down the bottom it keeps all your scores for you. There you see Carla the cat I did very poor on, so I just guessed. And then we as teachers can see that too. So if you get lots of 100% or 80%, 90%, we can see that as teachers and see how well you've done. In terms of how much to do today, I would say it should take you about 20 minutes to do that pre-assessment, and then to do the comprehension quizzes. I think you've got to aim to do at least 3 comprehension quizzes today. They don't take very long. They're quite short extracts. I'd say at least 3, and the maximum is as many as you want to do. If you want to see how many knowledge points you get today, it'd be really good. I'm hoping that my class have got more knowledge points today than Mrs. Withers' class. By the end of the day, I'm going to check in, and so is Mrs. Withers. Okay, if you've got any questions, make sure you ask. Have a look for your username and passwords on the document, and then get onto Read Theory, do your pre-assessment, and then start doing the comprehension quizzes. And I'll be checking all day to see how you're getting on in terms of getting knowledge points. Okay, hope it all makes sense, guys. Drop me a message if you've got any problems. See you later. Bye.